Hi, I'm Aiden Hopkins, and this is my final assignment for On 100. This course has taught me a lot about what it means to be an entrepreneur, and it really changed my whole perspective on the entrepreneurial mindset. When I began this course, I really thought being an entrepreneur meant founding your own business, but now I know it means so much more than that. Before I begin on what this course has taught me about myself and my entrepreneurial mindset, I want to show a summary of what I'm going to be talking about today. So first, I'm going to be talking about my starting point and why I took the course. Second, I'm going to be talking about the big ideas that shaped my understanding. Third, assignment 1. Fourth, assignment 2. 5, assignment 3. 6, assignment 4. 7, I'm going to be talking about guest speakers. 8, I'll talk about in-class lessons. 9, how my mindset has changed from the start of the class. 10, do I want to start my own venture? And 11, I'll do some final reflections. Before I even enrolled in this class, I was fascinated by different stories of successful entrepreneurs like Phil Knight and Jeff Bezos. Their books about entrepreneurship, among others I have read, had me very interested in doing something similar. I really liked how even though they didn't know what they were doing, through hard work and dedication, they created something of their own and grew those companies to become household names. These stories about successful entrepreneurs are part of the reason I decided to apply to business schools. When I was accepted to UVic and I was picking my classes, I was quick to make sure I had a spot in On 100. Before I even moved to Victoria, I expected this class to teach us exactly how to start a business and what we needed to do to be successful. And while I did learn these things, I learned so much more than I thought I would. Alright, so before I get into different experiences that taught me different skills, I want to give a brief overview of the big ideas I learned here in On 100. First, like I mentioned before, I started this course thinking entrepreneurship was just a word for someone starting a business, and now I know it's more of a mindset that means to recognize opportunity, solve problems, and take initiative, and much more. Second, opportunity recognition happens everywhere. After what I've learned in this course, I know that a true entrepreneur seizes an opportunity when they see it instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Third, contrary to my traditional thinking, I learned that failure is not the opposite of success. It is actually a stepping stone to get there. I will talk more about this later, but so many times from guest speakers to my own experience, I've learned the importance of failure. 4. Teamwork, diversity, and collaboration are entrepreneurial superpowers. I learned this through the different team activities in this course, and I couldn't be more grateful for those opportunities. 5. Hustle and persistence are what makes the difference. While I will talk a lot about this later, I think this is something I saw over and over throughout this course, and in the competitive world we live in, this is an amazing insight I gained from this course. 6. Creativity isn't something you have or you don't have. It is the result of a process which can be learned by anyone. I've always thought that I wasn't a creative person, but the opportunities I was given in this course to prove myself have proved me wrong. 7. Legality and structure matter way more than you might think. This one's pretty obvious which class I learned it from, but it was eye-opening to why the start is more important than I once thought. 8. Customer discovery is everything. I learned that without understanding your customer, you have nothing, and how your idea will only work if people actually want it. 9. Through our different guest speakers in this semester, I noticed how all successful entrepreneurs share similar characteristics, and it helped me believe more in myself as I see similarities in my own thinking. 10. Entrepreneurship is about meaning, impact, and ambition. This is something I will dive into deeper later because it is more personal to my own hopes as an entrepreneur. Assignment 1. So this assignment threw me right into the deep end of having to put myself out there. I'm not an extrovert, and without knowing anyone in the class, I had to find a partner. This encouraged me to network and meet new people in hopes I could find a partner for this video assignment. And in my commerce class, I sat beside this guy who ended up being in the same section as me, and he didn't have a partner either, so it was perfect that we teamed up. So before we even got to our interview, we had to work together to make a plan, and this taught me a lot about choosing a business partner. Because one thing my partner Ryan did that I really respected is he would give his honest opinion, especially if he thought I was wrong. So this helped teach me how important it is to have a diversity in opinions, because there were times that he was definitely right and I was wrong. But then it also taught me to be confident when I was positive that my own ideas were right. This assignment also taught me the importance of taking action, because while Ryan was great and I handled a lot of the workload, from setting up the interview to securing a room and Zoom call. If I didn't work as hard, this wouldn't have happened, and I doubt he would have done it on his own. During the interview, I learned so much from Sally. The thing that stuck with me most is she saw opportunity to open her own ice cream shop, and she didn't wait nervously. She went all in, and that was quite inspirational. Another lesson I got from this was that her failures taught her many things, and she didn't see them as negative, but as a learning process, which is a common mindset among most of the entrepreneurial stories I have heard. Assignment 2. This assignment really hammered on the teamwork and collaboration skills I learned in this course, and working with a bunch of people to come up with a business idea in such a short period of time was difficult, but it was really rewarding because it showed me how diversity in thoughts can help create something new and cool. One regret I have from this assignment was I should have helped more in the presentation, because that is one of the skills that I really want to improve on, but I have learned that failure doesn't define me, and it has taught me that I need to try and put myself out there next time I get the chance. Okay, assignment 3. Now this assignment was amazing. I really liked the idea, and I learned so much from my experiences. The assignment reinforced my learning on how to work with a group of people I don't know too well. This assignment also taught me something unique to what I have learned so far at university, and that was how to put myself out there and accept rejection. This was quite difficult at first, because nobody likes rejection, but I learned how crucial it is to succeed, because the first thing you will try almost never is almost never a success. Another lesson I learned from this assignment was how important it is to be surrounded with like-minded and motivated people. My group did especially well, and as we ended with a working 65-inch LG TV, and while I'd love to take some of the credit, I have to give it to one of my group members, Nate, because he worked really hard, and this showed me how important it is to be surrounded by people who want to work hard, because his drive made me want to work harder. And if the group didn't have people who really wanted to succeed, I most likely wouldn't have worked as hard. The final lesson I learned from this assignment was how to hustle and use everything at my disposal. In this case, that was explaining my situation as a UVic student, because people are empathetic towards students, and this helped me trade up from the paperclip. Hustle was also extremely important, and I have a good story for this. I shared this story in class, but I'll go over it one more time because I like it so much. So it was the final night of the assignment, and thanks to Nate's efforts and our combined trades, we had an iPhone 13, which was great, and we were really excited to bring it to class. But then Nate found a listing on Facebook Marketplace that someone was willing to trade for a 65-inch LG TV. And we saw that and we knew we wanted to get it if we were going to win. The listing, however, was out in Souk, and there was a huge rainstorm taking place. To make matters even worse, Nate or I don't have a car, so we improvised and used a ride-sharing app and borrowed an Evo car and drove over an hour in terrible weather to pick up this TV. The next morning, Nate and I had to carry this massive TV all the way across campus to get it to our group, and it was really funny, all the looks that we got as we walked it across campus. That day, we won the best item and best poster thanks to our hard work, and this experience taught me how important it is to go the extra mile. Assignment 4. This assignment was really fun, and I got to focus on my creative thinking as I came up with an idea for a company. This assignment really made me believe I could come up with my own company, and I really enjoyed working out how my app would work and what my company's core values were and how we would show that in our product. I also learned the importance of execution, and this really made me believe the line we heard in class. A grade A entrepreneur with a grade B idea is better than grade B entrepreneur with a grade A idea. I found out through this assignment how important it is to get people to believe in you and your idea, and even if your idea is revolutionary, if your execution isn't amazing, no one will invest. Okay, next up is guest speakers. Having multiple founders come to class and share their journey and how they think with us was amazing, and it was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire course. There's a few specific guest speakers that I'd like to mention and what I learned from them. The first was Don Maverick. I was so excited for this class because I actually play EA Sports video games daily with my friends, and for the opportunity to listen to the founder was something else. Don Maverick had so many interesting things to say about starting a company, and I particularly enjoyed his story about how he wanted to work at a computer store and how he offered his work for free to prove himself. And this story stuck with me because it showed me how important it is to prove yourself to people who can give you the opportunities to do what it is you want to do. I really enjoyed how he talked about his wife and how important she was to his success, because I haven't really heard that from many other founders, how important a significant other can be in life. Other guest speakers who were really interesting were the 4 UVic alumni that started their own ventures. I thought this was really interesting because it was a unique view and it showed what it is like to become an entrepreneur specifically from UVic, which was very valuable to hear. In this session, I learned about the Innovation Center and how to use the resources specifically for UVic students. I will also talk about my entrepreneurial ambitions later. I will say that this opened my eyes to what I could do as a student. The final class, we had 3 different guest speakers, and this was really interesting, and I think I heard one of the most valuable things I could have heard all semester when Rob Pindwala was talking about his time at McGill and how he was trying to go to all these different networking events and how everyone was the same and how this was what he thought he had to do to be successful, when in reality, following what you really find interesting and doing what you love is actually what you should be doing in your time at university. This was really important for me to hear because so far at university, I've been doing the exact same thing. I've been just doing what I thought I need to do to be successful, like going to consulting meetings and attempting to network. And while these aren't bad things to do, I really needed to hear that those aren't the things you need to do necessarily to succeed. Another key insight about networking is network around the people that you are actually interested in, because then it becomes more of a friendship than a transaction. I've heard countless times how the key to success is networking, and yet no one at university has even mentioned this approach. So it was actually really nice to hear from a guest speaker about how important it is and what you can actually do and who you should actually be talking to, because I haven't heard anything like that yet. In class sessions, we did a lot of things in class and I learned so much. There were a few sessions that really furthered my entrepreneurial thinking in ways I wouldn't have expected. Our session on legal issues with startups was really interesting because I got to learn how important it is to choose who you start a business with, and I never knew that in a partnership, the bank can take from anyone in the partnership as long as they get what is owed to them, which is a huge deal, and that is something I would take into close consideration if I were to start a business one day. Another session I found useful was our last one about values. And while this one didn't seem like your typical business class, I thought it was really important for life in general. Often I find myself confused or forgetting what it is I truly want in life. And the in-class auction made me remember how important these things are. And while many things are important in life, it's crucial that you are aware of your values, and it will keep you centered on your true morals and goals. For me specifically, I have strong values when it comes to family and doing good in the world. And after this class, I took time to write down some of my biggest values and goals I have in life to keep me focused, because it can be easy to stray away from what's really important to you. This class was unexpectedly one of my favorites of the term. Finally, the last class that I learned a lot in was when we learned about product market fit and the importance of a good value proposition, because these things will make or break your business. And I learned a lot in these classes. These 3 classes that I just talked about were the ones that stood out most to me. While others were great, these 3 really spoke to me. How my mindset has changed from the beginning. So like I mentioned at the start of the video, my mindset of an entrepreneur was simply someone who owned a business, but now I know it is much more, and the skills learned in this class transfer to many things and not just owning a business. Through the different assignments, guest speakers, and in-class lessons, I have changed my perspective, and now this is how I would define an entrepreneur. A good entrepreneur is someone who can recognize opportunity and take decisive action in order to capitalize off of an opportunity. A good entrepreneur is creative, resilient, motivated, and, from what some of the guest speakers had to say, a little bit strange. All of these skills are shown in the amazing entrepreneurs we got to meet in class. However, I learned you can still apply this entrepreneurial mindset to other aspects in life. For example, if starting your own business isn't in the cards for you, then don't do it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply this creativity and opportunity recognition to whatever it is that you do in life. Overall, I've changed my perspective a lot, and this is what leads me to the big question of the course. Do I want to be an entrepreneur? Now this is a big question to ask myself. And while for the sake of the video, I would love to just say yes and that I have an idea and I want to create, but to be completely honest, I'm just not sure. When I say this, I'm not saying that I don't believe in myself and I don't think I have what it takes, because this course has actually reinforced my beliefs in myself. And while I don't think I am going to start a venture right now, I do believe that if an opportunity presents itself, I will jump at it. Because one of the things I really want to do in my time here in UVic is something risky and put myself out there, and now is the time to do it. And while I may not have the money or time on my hands, if I don't try now, the risk of failure will grow, and to be honest, if I try a venture and I fail horribly, I will be nothing but happy that I tried and it didn't work, because then I will have learned the best kind of experience. And I really think I just need that in life. The chances of me failing at something I start now are super high, but who knows, it might just work. My final thoughts on this course are that I learned so many valuable skills, and while I am unsure about my future in the entrepreneurial field, I will always have these skills and this mindset, which will help me with whatever path I do choose to go down in life. Entrepreneurship isn't about certainty. It's about curiosity, action, and growth. Sources. To conclude my final assignment, I want to be transparent with my use of AI to complete this project. I used ChatGPT to help organize my thoughts and give me a rough outline of how my video was going to be structured before I began writing my script. To be clear, I used no AI when I wrote my script, and all of the content in the session and lessons I learned came from guest speakers and sessions we had in class, as well as assignments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video.